to begin the evening by introducing our inductees. Our first inductee this evening is Jessica Gasper. You can go right to your table, Jessica. You can go right to your table. Our next inductee is Mr. Robert Long. Our third inductee, who is represented by his father and cousin tonight, is Mr. John Montero. Our next inductee, who is not with us tonight, is Mr. Brian Rose. Our next inductee, Dr. Thomas Kelly. And our last inductee, Mr. Colin Lynch. At this time, I would like to introduce Reverend Friends Minister Kevin Lee.
It is truly an honor and a privilege to be here this evening. Many of these fine folks I've known for many, many years. Family, friends, and colleagues, let us pray. May the grace and presence of our Lord Jesus Christ cover our table on this joy-filled occasion. Let us feast in love, good cheer, and friendship, knowing that God attends and that God provides for the nourishment of our bodies and our souls. Our lives have been enriched in so many ways by these individuals. Their love, dedication, trustworthiness, wisdom, talent. We remain grateful, too, for their families who have given them to us unselfishly and generously over so many years. In your holy name, dear Lord, we begin, rejoice, and remain. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin, and now we'd like everyone to enjoy their meal.
Have been with this committee since its inception back in 1989, when I had the privilege of working with Coach Richard Barry, who was the founder and the groundbreaker in establishing this Hall of Fame at Dartmouth back in 1989. And it doesn't seem that it was that long ago that we had our first induction, where we had some incredibly prestigious and outstanding people inducted, including Dr. Dean Freitas, Lieutenant Colonel Albert Porter, and Robert Watkins Sr. We had some truly distinguished people then, and I think this year we definitely have distinguished people once more. One of the things we have always tried to do with this Hall of Fame And Mr. Barry, when he established this committee, always wanted to make sure that our committee chose athletes to be in this hall who were deserving, because they were great athletes, they were great students, and outstanding citizens in our community. Now, sadly, in many parts of our society where politics has insidiously found its way into infesting many parts of society and infecting it, our hall has remained politically free. That athletes, coaches, teams that are inducted because they deserve to be here. Now, people may disagree with who is inducted, who is put in, but those who disagree do not put in the time and the effort and the work that this committee puts in for nothing. These people give of themselves and many of them go many extra miles to try and make sure that this induction remains and keeps the integrity that Coach Barry tried to establish back in 1989, and I'm hoping that we have carried on that. I'm hoping that future inductions of all individuals and teams will be worthy on their ability and will be inducted because of that. I would like you to bear with me as I introduce the members of our committee. First, I would like to introduce a man who has been with our committee for quite a long time. I depend on him for many things. He's a man of great integrity. Thorsten Arlander. If you please stand, Thorsten, please. My Hall of Fame member, my friend, trusted assistant coach, Rocky Cadero. Attorney Walter Farrier, who could not be here tonight. Another man who, I guess I could call him my boss, but I prefer to call him my friend. Someone who I teach with, someone who I coach with, and someone who tolerates all of my mistakes, my good friend, athletic director, Coach Tom McDermott. Hall of Fame member and my neighbor, Gene Montero. Hall of Fame member, Paul O'Connor. I don't know if Paul is here today. This gentleman who was part of our first induction, who is a legend here at Dartmouth, a member of New Bedford Volks Hall of Fame, University of Notre Dame, United States Army Lieutenant Colonel, and my friend, Albert Porter. A man who in 1969 took great pity on me when I was a very wet-nosed and naive freshman in Dartmouth High School. He was my coach as a freshman, and kind of took care of me and has been taking care of me ever since. Our MC, Hall of Fame member, former Principal Donald King. And there are three other people I'd like to mention, one of whom could not be here is our secretary and athletic secretary, Michelle Lyons, who, without her, this organization would literally founder without her. She is incredibly organized and basically is the rudder that steers our ship. I wish she should be here tonight, but she couldn't make it. But I'd like to recognize two other people on our committee, if you could bear with me. Now, my dear wife, who has tolerated me for 27 years, will tell you that when she wants a job done well, she has me do it. When she wants a job done right, she has to do it herself. And I find that with these two people, that when you want a job done well, you have a guy do it, but when it has to be right, it takes a woman's touch. So tonight, I'd like to honor two people who, without them, we'd be totally lost. And I'm going to call them up here and embarrass them right now. Our Treasurer and Hall of Famer member Miss Maureen Waltz, and Mrs. Maureen Regan, please. Ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy the evening. Thank you very much.
Our next speaker is our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Steve Russell.
Good evening, everyone. This is a great night. I'd like to offer congratulations to all of the nominees as well as all of you who are here tonight in support of their nomination and election to this prestigious Hall of Fame. So congratulations from the Dartmouth schools and everyone affiliated with them. On a more personal note, I'd also like to offer my own congratulations, not for the scores of the games or the listings and who made the paper and who didn't make the newspaper and what great event did or didn't take place on a particular game day. That's all important, but that isn't the really important thing. The really important thing is the standards you have set and the quality of people that you are that make the difference. And in hearing the stories this evening and hearing about your accomplishments, for me personally, it helps motivate my own thinking about being a better school superintendent and, even more importantly, a better person. So congratulations from all of us with the Dartmouth schools. We're really pleased to be here and be part of this evening's event.
Thank you. This time we'll now hear from our principal, Mrs. Donna Demry.
Good evening. Ricky, where are you? Ricky Berry. We miss your ideas. Your ideas are so phenomenal. Over 12 years ago, when Ricky came up with this idea, no one really knew how absolutely spectacular it absolutely was going to be. 3 years ago, when we walked into the... Whoops, you want to hear? 3 years ago, when we walked into our brand spanking new building, those white sterile walls greeted us, not a footmark, not a fingerprint. It was Dartmouth High School, kind of. It wasn't until the Hall of Fame pictures started being put up in our foyer that the spirit really started to permeate our halls. As principal of Dartmouth High School, I can't tell you how much fun I have personally watching our kids on a daily basis stand and look and admire those photos, because the people that comprise that Hall of Fame are our heroes. They've done things that these kids do, and they know that they can do well. They know that someday they have the potential of being there. I walk in there, my sister's on that wall. You know, I don't show anybody that that wall, that school, without showing them that this is the hall that has all of the people at Dartmouth High School that bring the spirit that creates Dartmouth High School. The pride, the excitement, the love, and the team building that goes on at Dartmouth High School is the very first thing you see on the right-hand side when you enter our school. So I invite all of you, if you have not been into our building, please come and visit. You'll be seeing the pictures of our amazing candidates for the Hall of Fame this year. very, very soon as we can get the pictures up. It's an extraordinary experience for us that you have given us this kind of inspiration for our kids. Best of luck. Congratulations to all. We really honor you. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. And now a few words from the chairman of our school committee. It's my pleasure to introduce a person who was with me when we first started football at Dartmouth High School, Mr. John Nunes.
Thank you, Mr. King. It's indeed a pleasure to be here, and on behalf of the Dartmouth School Committee, I'd like to congratulate the Hall of Fame Committee for 6 wonderful inductees this evening. A lot of times you come to these affairs and you're trying to scramble to figure out if you know anyone who's being inducted or the like. It's nice standing up here saying, you know what, I know all 6 of them this year. Personally, growing up watching them, you know, with John Montero or being involved, helping, you know, Colin Lynch and Tom Kelly and the like. So it is indeed a pleasure. They're the cream of the crop. They've done a lot for our programs. It is wonderful that they're being recognized, and I congratulate them. I congratulate the committee on fine choices, and please enjoy the evening. Thank you.
Now's the time we've all been waiting for. I'd like to introduce our first presenter, a Hall of Fame member, and one of the great coaches at Dartmouth High School, Mrs. June Lack, who will be presenting Jessica Gasper.
Thanks. Doc, I think I'm gonna need you here. I need, first of all, I need to know a little bit about who I'm talking to, so I would like to see by a show of hands, is there anybody in here who has never heard of Jessica Gasper before tonight? Don't be embarrassed or shy or anything. And anybody at all? Oh, we got a couple over there? Just one? Anybody else? Just one. This one. And the only purpose of that was that we've all been treated to Jessica Gasper, and anybody who didn't know her, I wanted to be sure that they also had a treat. So Doc, who was my assistant coach when Jessie was with us, gave her a treat, but I guess I got a lot left. My granddaughter will appreciate it. My first experience with Jessica is when I first heard about her when she was still down on the 8th grade level. Now, I knew Steve Gasper, slightly knew Kathy at that time, but as far as any of the kids, vaguely knew Jen. I really didn't know. But my kids up on the field hockey team were saying, you know, you really want to have this kid play for you. And they were trying to get her, recruit her, if you will, which I'm not too much into. And anyway, when sign-ups finally came around, I looked at the list of the kids that came up from the 8th grade, kids who were going to go out for the sport. And sure enough, Jessica Gasper was there for field hockey. And she was also there for volleyball and soccer, and I think also cross country. I did not look at the football list, but she probably signed up for that too. And then I heard over the summer that when she found out what our uniform is, and we wear a kilt, which is like a short skirt, and what I heard from Jessica was that there was no way she was going to put on a dress to play a sport. So we pretty much figured that she was going to do something else. But sure enough, when field hockey came, she She came out for field hockey, and she was on the freshman team. Doc Allen, who was my assistant in charge of freshmen at that time, who passed out the treat. I think he got his first gray hairs that season. Jessica was not the easiest person to deal with. She was a talent, that's for sure. But at that time, she gave us some gray hairs. The following year, I looked at her very carefully for tryouts, and we decided to move her right up to varsity. She certainly had the talent, and that was my first experience using hair color, dealing with Jess. They say that, you know, good people and good athletes, they strive to do good things to please you or to please their coaches. Great athletes, which Jessica is, strive only to please themselves. And I don't mean to make that sound like she's selfish. What I mean to say is that it is important to her that she does good for herself. The most outstanding trait about Jessica is something I call an I dare you attitude. And if Jessica has a ball, and it doesn't matter whether it's a field hockey ball or a basketball, if she has it, she gets this kind of gleam in her eye and looks at you, and it's like, I dare you to try to take this away from me. I dare you to stop me from doing what I'm going to do with this ball. And likewise, if you've got the ball and she's right on, she's coming at you, it's that same gleam in her eye. I dare you to try to get by me, because you're not going to do it. And that's the way she played, that's the way she attacked all sports. And it's an attitude that I used to, oh, some of you are going to know what I'm talking about, but I used to have to do it as a Gertrude story. Colleen will know what I'm talking about. But now from the point that Jessica left, it was a Jessica story. That is, you got to develop that I dare you attitude that she had. To tell you some of her accomplishments, it's long, but she's very deserving. In field hockey, she was a 3-year varsity starter. 3 consecutive league championships she helped lead us to. She was captain in her senior year, the only captain, the only single captain I think we've ever had. But that was the kids' choice and practically a unanimous vote. She was an EAC All-Star, New Bedford Standard Times All-Star, Fall River Herald All-Star, Boston Globe All-Scholastic, Boston Herald All-Scholastic, and she was named to the best of 60 South team. And what that is the best 60 kids in the entire state actually play a game. And there are 4 teams made up of 15. She was named one of the 15 best players in the South. Basketball, this thing's driving me crazy. Basketball, I hope you're ready for this. She was a 4-year varsity starter. She led the team to 4 EAC championships. She captained the team in her senior year. EAC All-Star in all 4 years, New Bedford Standard Times All-Star all 4 years. That's as a freshman as well. Boston Globe All-Scholastic 2 years. Dave Collins Award, Gatorade Player of the Year in 94 and 95. Regional Gatorade Player of the Year in 95. She got the Nike Foot Locker All-American Team, Parade All-American Team, USA Today All-American Team, named one of the top 10 players in the country, Street and Smith All-American Team, Massachusetts Female Athlete of the Year, named as one of the top 20 basketball players in the country, remains the highest scorer in basketball history at Dartmouth High School, that's male or female, with 1,840 points. She's the only player ever from Dartmouth High School to receive a 5-year scholarship to a Division I college for basketball. She holds school records. She holds a scoring record, an average of 21.1 points a game. 3-point shots, 124. She holds the record for steals, 421. She holds the record for field goals at field goal percent at 48.5. And if you think all she does is score, well, she also leads the school record in assists at 338, free throw percentage 70.2%. Absolutely incredible as far as high school goes. She went on to North Carolina. Probably some of you watched, as did I, on television every chance that we could when she was. She co-captained the team in her junior year and captained the team by herself in her senior year. She ranks 9th in University of North Carolina history for assists and steals. She was twice named to the ACC All-Tournament team and received the Scholar Athlete Award upon graduation. She played professionally after college for the Icelandic Basketball Association for 2 years. She led that league in points scored, steals, and assists. She was twice named the best foreign player in the league. And in 2003, she was selected to play for the Premier Player Exhibition team. She's also coached. She coached 12 to 16-year-olds while she was in Iceland. She's coached numerous camps in both field hockey and basketball. She founded and operated elite basketball camps. She coached the Rhode Island Rebels under 13 AAU team, coached 2 years at Taunton High School at the junior varsity level, and she's currently a member of the Seahawk coaching staff at UNC Wilmington. Jessica Gasper is truly a Hall of Famer, and I'm very proud to be able to present her. Jess.
Talk about breaking the ice. Oh, you did a wonderful job. I'm so nervous. What's all this you got here?
Easy to run.
Huh? You just giving stuff out.
Okay. Want a lollipop? I got one sec left.
I think I'm supposed to move. I think she did enough with breaking the ice. June, you did a wonderful job. Thank you for introducing me. It's an honor. First, I'd like to start off by saying thank you to all of you for making this happen. It's an honor to be standing in front of you and accepting this award, but I wouldn't have done it without the support of everybody here, the Dartmouth community, DHS faculty and staff, the Standard Times, the Fall River Herald, the coaching staff, June Lack, and all the other coaching staffs that I've been throughout my career, and most importantly, my family and friends. But again, it's an honor to be inducted to the Hall of Fame and to be amongst great athletes and to be one of many that is going to be among that wall of the Hall of Fame. But again, I think it's not just being honored into the Hall of Fame, but to me personally, I think it's an honor to follow in the footsteps of someone special that has been in the Hall of Fame, and that's my father. But I think it's more important now that him and I can compare the pictures, and now we can compare the pictures to see who was cuter during the time of their Hall of Fame. But again, congratulations to the inductees. It's an honor, and I appreciate it, and I appreciate everything you've done for me, and much thanks. Cheers. Thank you.
You heard all those athletic accomplishments, but I can say, having known Jessica almost all her life, she's a great person. And I remember one other time we managed to get a dress on her. She was also our homecoming queen. Our next presenter is Mr. Colin Lynch, who will be presenting Mr. Robert Long.
Thank you. Thank you, Donald. Is this the one that works? Yeah. 29 years ago this spring, I was walking in the middle school, which is now the Quinn School, and a young man who looked like a Viking warrior with his hair down to his shoulders said, "Hi, Coach." And I said to Jerry Hickey, "Who's that?" He said, "That's Bobby Long." I said, "Oh." He said, "He wants to be a football player." Oh, I don't know about that. So the next year, freshman football practice, Mr. King, who was our freshman coach at that time, came in after practice one day. I said, "How's the freshman look?" He said, "We got a kid out there who's unbelievable." He said, "Hits everything that moves, hits everything that moves." And I said, "Oh my goodness." I said, "What's his name?" He said, "Robert Long." I go, "What? Robert Long, the guy that I saw in the middle school that looked like a Viking warrior? That guy?" Yep, he is. Well, as it was, as it could have been, Bobby Long could have started for our varsity football team that year. That's how good he was. Bobby Long, without a question of a doubt, pound for pound, was the toughest physical football player I've ever coached. But he had so many other attributes besides that. He had a great twinkle in his eye. He had an understanding of what was going on. He played on two of the best football teams I've had the privilege to coach. And if God had made him 6'2", 230, we'd be reading about him on Sunday afternoon and watching him on TV. That's how good he was. But the nicest thing about Bobby Long is that we had two very good running backs. In his senior year, he was our captain. And I talked to Coach Doyen and Coach Barry. And I said, "I think we have to tell Mr. Long a little thing. He's going to be a guard tomorrow. He's not going to be a fullback." Next day, he walked in the office. I said, "Robert, I have number 55 for you. You're no longer wearing number 14. He said, "Coach, that's fine with me as long as I play." This is the ultimate Bobby Long, unselfishness. Bobby Long went on to Tabor Academy, got a little bit of smoothing out there. Before he went to Tabor Academy, the first varsity football game, the second game he ever played in, were at Bishop Feehan High School. We had a very good football team. And the official came over to me, Bill O'Brien, who worked for the telephone company, worked with Bob's dad. And he said, "Coach, number 14 is giving me some lip." I said, what is he doing? He said, so I brought him out of the game. I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "The official's making the wrong calls." I said, "We have to know our role, Robert. Our role for the rest of the afternoon is for you to stand next to me." Robert Long went on, played at the Mass Maritime, was a captain. But more importantly, Robert Long has grown into a wonderful, fine human being. He has done so much for our community, our schools. He has become, when I leave seniors, when they leave me, I get all emotional and stuff, and I have my own Hall of Fame. And Robert Long has refused to go into this Hall of Fame because he's an ultimate team player. He's a very successful businessman, very successful benefactor to many people in this community. But more importantly, he's a Hall of Fame father, Hall of Fame husband, Hall of Fame son. And I think it's a privilege for me to introduce to you one of the finest human beings I know, Mr. Robert Long, who always has his A game. Mr. Robert Long.
I wrote a little speech tonight. I would like to thank the Hall of Fame Committee for this memorable award. I would also like to introduce and thank my beautiful wife, Christine, who has loved and supported me throughout my life. She has and always will be the best thing to ever happen to me. Matter of fact, my good friend Al Porter reminds me that every time I see him. I would also like to introduce my wife and I's three biggest accomplishments, our three daughters, Shannon, Jillian, and Cortland. They are truly beautiful children, and we love them to pieces. I would also like to thank my mom and dad, who could not make it due to health reasons, for their love and support throughout my playing days. No matter where or weather conditions, they always made the trip. I would also like to thank my mother-in-law, Mary Lou Spinelli, for treating me like a son and showing me much kindness. Tonight, I would like to dedicate this award to the 1976 football team. There is no I in the spelling of team. Every member of the team is as important as the next. Most, if not all, of my core beliefs in life and business were learned on the football field 30 years ago under the guidance of my friend Colin Lynch. Colin has been my role model and mentor since age 14 when I first met him. He has served in that capacity to me and probably another 2,500 players that he has coached. He is truly the most successful man that I know. I would like to review a few of his lessons that I learned from him and from the books that I read today. Number one, if you get knocked down, you get back up. Simple, no excuses. Two, you give 100% effort on each play in the game and also in each day of your life. The gotta-wanna theory. The gotta-wanna theory goes something like this. On the first day of summer double sessions, which were actually quadruple sessions, Colin would say, "Gentlemen, if you're here for your father or your mother or your girlfriend, you're in the wrong place." He was right. My first summer camp, I lost 15 pounds, and I was a very thin guy when I went there. Number four is constant and never-ending improvement. Coach's goal for us was to improve a little bit every day. Head coach's game plan was consistently 3 yards in a cloud of dust. Number five, women are tougher than men. Number five is women are tougher than men. After watching my wife have 3 babies, I'm a firm believer in that. The last that I will talk about, and probably one of my favorite, is to offer a limited menu, but do it better than anyone else and do it over and over again, staying focused. At my building company, we offer 6 different house plans and try to improve them every day in our efficiency of construction. Coach has me beat 3 times over. We only had 2 plays, triple option right and triple option left. He's been a great friend of mine. He has been a great friend to everybody here. We all love him. And once again, I would like to thank him. I would like to thank my family, and I would like to thank my friends for being here tonight and making this such a great night for me to remember. Thank you.
I think you can see what a quality gentleman Mr. Long is. I have 2 quick antidotes. Is his freshman coach. He hit so hard as a freshman. He is the only person that Rydell Company, they make the suspension helmet in football, ever caved inward when he hit someone. That is unbelievable. And I can remember another day, we used to run the option. Robert was fullback. Gave the ball to Robert, broke through the line, broke to the sideline to the left, and I looked, he was on about the 50-yard line, and there was nothing between him but lines and grass. The safety had gone for a fake, was way over on the right-hand side of the field. And Bobby, being a true sportsman, made a right turn, ran to the center of the field, and was going to show everyone that he could run that safety over. He knocked the safety about 5 yards backwards. The only thing he didn't count on was he tripped on him as he was going over him and never scored. Our next presenter, a great athlete in his own right, Mr. Gene Montero, will present an award to his cousin, who was one of our greatest basketball players at Dartmouth High School. Gene?
Thank you, Mr. King. Can you all hear me? Before I begin to talk about my cousin John, I would like to call up his biggest fan, my Uncle Joe Montero, John's father. And I think we ought to give him a standing applause. I was actually hoping that my uncle would present these remarks on behalf of his son, but he passed the torch to me, so I hope you'll bear with me. I am very privileged and honored to have this opportunity to talk about and talk on behalf and about my cousin John Montero. But before I talk about him, I think it's fitting that I recognize his bloodline, his immediate bloodline. I'd like his daughter Jennifer to stand, please. And that little gentleman walking towards her is John's grandson, Jennifer's son. Tyler is his name. As I said, I am very privileged and honored that my uncle is allowing me this opportunity to speak on behalf of my cousin John. I must say, though, that John and I were more than cousins. Our lives were intertwined for such a long time, from youth and right into adulthood, that it could be said that we were brothers, not cousins. We were that close. And as you can expect, this is a very emotional time for John, for John's family, as well as for those friends who knew him personally. John was taken from us at the young age of 46 years, but he left a lasting impression on those of us who knew him as a friend, knew him as a teammate, a brother, a nephew, a father, and of course a son. If he were here today, he would to accept this most deserving recognition and accolade, he would spend all of his time thanking his teammates and his coaches. I might add that the two coaches that played an important part of John's development are here today, Mr. Albert Palmieri and Mr. Douglas Feniger, and they deserve an applause as well. As I say, John would be here standing if he were here. He would be thanking everyone who contributed to his success as an athlete and as a human being. Were he here today, I would hope that he might say a word or two about the many one-on-one battles that he and I played against each other in his yard. I would also hope that he would talk about the many beatings that I delivered upon him, which contributed to his becoming the great player that he was. Kind of reminds me of the beatings that I took at the hands of Doug Feniger at the Dartmouth High School gym during the 1960s, all in the name of making me a better ball player. Thank you, Mr. Feniger. But those of us who knew John personally knew that he wasn't one to talk about himself. He did all of his talking on the basketball court. John was a lifelong resident of this town of Dartmouth who played in the town's Little League and Pony League, baseball and basketball. However, he really came into his own as a high school sophomore playing on the varsity basketball team. I was a senior on that team, and our undefeated team was about to enter the semifinal round of the state tournament at Boston Garden. We played against Chelmsford High School. We lost a very hard-fought battle, but that game was the beginning of the legend of John Montero. He developed into what I consider to be the finest playmaking guard this area has ever had. And I say that even today, with all due respect to all the many hundreds of basketball players that have traveled through this area during that period of time. He was clearly in a class by himself and virtually unstoppable. But more importantly, he was the consummate team player who made his teammates better. And I think Coach Doug Feniger said it best in a letter that he submitted in support of John's induction. And I would like to read Mr. Feniger's words. John was the best all-around basketball player I have ever seen in a Dartmouth High uniform. I've seen the team play each year since 1960, so my opinion is based on about 45 years of experience. I had the opportunity to witness every high school game in which he played. Some players were better shooters, others better rebounders, and maybe, but I doubt it, someone was a better defender. None was quicker. When one combines all phases of the game in one player, John Montero was the best. John loved the game and played it with a passion. His smile was infectious and his energy boundless. Additionally, John Montero was a gentleman, very coachable and a super teammate. He felt his team could win every game it played, and John felt that way until the final whistle sounded. I don't know our record during John's varsity years, says Mr. Feniger, but I'm sure we had many more wins than losses. John's attitude could and did lift our team numerous times. I couldn't have said it better. John Montero was a superhuman being who left us at too young an age. He was an extremely effective police officer for the town, and he is missed by all. On behalf of John and our family, I want to thank everyone who contributed to making this induction into the Dartmouth High School Hall of Fame possible. Thank you. Yeah, Uncle Joe.
Next, Mr. Thomas McDermott, our athletic director and baseball coach, will present Brian Rose.
Thank you, Mr. King. I look over and I see Brian's wife, Tara, and Ben, and Tucker, and Gracie, and I know that Brian would give anything to be here tonight. Pitched a great ball game last night, got a second win of the season, and it's tough being on the road, but I know that he's thinking about everyone who's here this evening and wishes he was here. I'm honored to be here tonight to present Brian Rose, Dartmouth High School, class of 1994, as an inductee into the Dartmouth High School Athletic Hall of Fame. I had the pleasure of being able to have Brian as a student at Dartmouth High School and to coach him on the baseball field. As a member of our baseball program from 1992 to 1994. I see Coach Hayes sitting over in the corner, who also had the pleasure of coaching Brian on the hockey rink. And Brian was a 4-year member of our hockey program as well. He led our hockey team in scoring 3 out of 4 years. and was selected as a captain of our hockey team in his senior year. His consistent high level of play earned him Boston Globe All-Scholastic honors in both 1993 and 1994. As much as Rosie excelled on the ice, he was even more of a complete baseball player. He holds the following records, career records at Dartmouth High School. Most career wins, 26. Most strikeouts, 316. Lowest earned run average, 0.99. For anyone that doesn't understand earned run average, that's less than 1 run per ball game. He also holds the following season records. Lowest earned run average, 0.10. What that means is, during his junior year, he gave up 1 earned run in over 57 innings of pitching. Most complete games, 7. Hits per innings pitched. Brian, when he pitched, would give up an average of 1 hit for each 3 2/3 innings that he would pitch. So in an average high school ball game of 7 innings, he would give up an average of 2 hits a game. Rosie also worked very hard to be an offensive player. And I'm very happy now that he's with the Cincinnati organization because he's also hitting .400, I believe. Is that right, Tara? 1 for 3. I thought it was 2. He got a hit last night. Yeah, 2 for 5, Tara. Come on. Hitting .400. He's leading the league. Over his 3 years as a varsity player at Dartmouth High School, he averaged 18 runs scored, 23 hits, 16 RBIs, and a .403 batting average. He was a complete player who understood that to play the game correctly, you must stay mentally focused at all times. Rosie's baseball awards and honors are numerous, but I would like to just mention a few. He was selected captain, one of our captains during his senior year. He was also selected to the Boston Globe All-Scholastic baseball team as a junior and a senior. As a senior, he was selected as the Massachusetts Gatorade Player of the Year and also a high school All-American. He continued to excel after high school, being the second selection of the Boston Red Sox in the June 1994 draft. He was chosen as a AAA Rookie of the Year in 1997 while playing for the Pawtucket Red Sox, and had the distinction, hopefully many of you remember this, of beating the New York Yankees twice within a 1-week period of time, once in Fenway and once in Yankee Stadium. Most recently, he was named to the Cincinnati Reds Minor League Pitcher of the Year in 2004. He started and won the AA All-Star Game in 2004 while pitching for the Chattanooga Lookouts. Great hat, by the way. If you're into baseball hats, you got to get that one. These records and accomplishments, however, only tell part of the Brian Rose story. Rosie has the unique ability to make those around him better. He has always exhibited the qualities of loyalty and commitment that high school athletics strives to teach. Unlike many other athletes, he has never forgotten the importance of giving back to his former high school. He has worked and spoken to many young and aspiring baseball players at our youth baseball clinics and also summer baseball camp run by Coach McDonald. He has learned many lifelong lessons and wants to try to pass these on to youngsters just starting to play the game of baseball. Brian Rose is one of the most competitive people I've ever had the opportunity to meet or coach. He has demonstrated this quality as a Dartmouth High School player, either on the ice or on the baseball diamond. Coach Gasper, I hope you don't mind, but I had to include this. He also loved beating you at horse in the gym every day when he used to come down at the end of school. Rosie has continued to demonstrate this quality after undergoing Tommy John surgery and most recently a broken ankle this past winter. He continues to prove to all of us that his success as a player and as a person is due to his competitive fire and desire to excel.
In conclusion, I would like to say that Brian Rose, one of only 3 people to have his jersey, number 19, retired at Dartmouth High School, is the epitome of what Dartmouth High School athletics represents. He has made his family proud because of the type of role model he is. And Rosie, wherever you are, my friend, I'm sure Grandpa Rose is in heaven looking down, smiling, and is very proud of you tonight. It is my pleasure to introduce...
Dad, my mom, my grandfather and grandmother, my Aunt Luann, and Uncle Walter. For direction in what was right and what was wrong. I was fortunate to have such a small family because it made me stronger and taught me to care for such a small group. The Rose name means so much to me, along with being a Dartmouth Indian. Another small group of close friends and family. Coach McDermott, Mr. Lynch, Mr. Hayes, Coach McDonald were all a big part of my development here. I was taught words like pride, poise, and respect. Thank you. Mr. King, Mr. Murphy, and Mr. DeManch were all integral parts of my maturing as a student, and of my favorite teacher, Miss Bly. I mean, what would I have done without 3 years of French? Because I've used it so much since then. At least that's where I met my wife. My teammates and friends were a huge influence in high school. I got to see Jess Gasper break the scoring record in person and become the best female basketball player to ever play in the gym on Slocum Road. To think there's going to be 2 Gaspers on the Hall of Fame wall. That's amazing. My former teammates, Jason Medeiros, Tony Furtado, and Mike Dory, whom I still remain close with today. Trevor Estrella and Aaron Zexter, my catcher and third baseman, for those of you who didn't know, would kiss the ball before me every game for luck. Too bad he didn't follow me to Boston, because John Valentin just wouldn't do it. To the late Cruz Barcelone, my 1-2 punch, if he only knew how much he helped me, pushed me, and helped our team be the best we could be. I will truly miss him. And last but not least, my dear wife, who has been there longer than anyone in my eyes. Her support throughout the years has been the backbone. Through the illness of my grandfather and the rocky road of my professional baseball career, she has been there for all the high of my highs and picked me up from the lowest of my lows. To you and the beautiful children that you have given me, Benjamin, Tucker, and Gracie, thank you and I love you all, and go Big Green.
Our next award, the Special Achievement Award, will be presented to Dr. Kelly by Mr. Walter Smith.
Jess Gasper won the Gatorade Player of the Year award. Rosie won the Gatorade Player of the Year award, and tomorrow morning I'm going to play golf with Tom Kelly, and I guarantee he'll have Gatorade in his golf bag. I don't normally, in my job, I'm not smart enough to prepare remarks. I generally just let it rip, but I've been fortunate enough to sit at a table with not only Dr. Tom Kelly, but his lovely wife, Ann, and his dad, Bob Kelly, and his children, Mike and Carlene Kelly. I ain't going to mess with that table, so I've lost my A material, and I'm going right to the printed sheet. It is truly an honor to present to you Dr. Thomas E. Kelly, this year's recipient of the Special Achievement Award. It is true also that when Tom asked me to do this presentation, he sincerely asked that I not embarrass him with a long speech. I'll do my very best to honor his request and embarrass him with a short speech. Because I know people here would like to hear another long speech. Although Tom did not attend Dartmouth High School as a student, he was truly an outstanding athlete. He was a high school athlete at Seton Hall High School in New Jersey, where he received all-state honors in both football and baseball.
basketball, he's not a great shooter, but his strength was in football and baseball. He continued his outstanding athletic career at Holy Cross College, both as a tough-nosed defensive back, where he was coached, by the way, by our next inductee, Mr. Carlin Lynch, and also as an All-American baseball player. That's All-American. He was a three-time All-Star in the prestigious Cape Cod Baseball League, and in 1990 he was inducted into the Holy Cross College Hall of Fame. In addition to his undergraduate degree from Holy Cross, Tom has, 3 or 4 dozen other degrees, minimum. At least he has a master's degree in counseling from Bridgewater State. He has a master's degree in business administration from UMass Dartmouth. And he also has a doctorate degree in education from the University of Massachusetts, Amherst. By the way, I'm very pleased to announce that his doctoral dissertation, entitled The Impact of Structured Reflective Practice on the Teaching Decisions of In-Service Teachers, will be made available later tonight for those who wish to pursue it. Tom does not have among his degrees a Doctor of Medicine degree, which his son Michael, and indeed his prospective daughter-in-law, Debbie, who's here tonight, will both obtain a year from now. And that perhaps, I don't want to point any fault here, but could be directly the result of the Holy Cross football coaching staff who allowed Tom to take a few too many hits from Larry Zonka and Floyd Little. I've just got 6 more pages, but don't worry, I'll cull it right down. Let me get to the serious stuff. Tom came to Dartmouth in 1968, a long time ago when many of us weren't even born, but for 35 years or so, he has served our school system in numerous capacities. He began as a 7th grade teacher in 1968 at the Potter School, at the middle school, rather. After a 2.5-year stint in the United States Navy, he returned in consecutive positions. Really, you name it, Tom did it. He was an elementary guidance counselor. He was an elementary assistant principal at Potter School. He was a computer science teacher at Dartmouth High School. He was an assistant principal for a number of years, the unofficial dean of faculty at Dartmouth High School. He was an assistant superintendent of schools for a long while, and from 1996 until June of 2003, he served as our superintendent of schools. Tom also coached football at Dartmouth High School under Mr. Lynch, and indeed, a little-known fact, he served as the head coach of the 6 a.m. Dartmouth High School girls hockey program for several years. He's also coached youth sports in our town at the Little League and Pony League level. And since his retirement a couple of years ago, he has continued to serve our community in our town. He has been for a number of years a lector at St. Mary's Church in South Dartmouth. And he was recently appointed, I'm not sure why, but he was recently appointed as our town's representative to the Greater New Bedford Regional Vocational Technical High School School Committee. Despite these numerous academic, athletic, and professional accomplishments, Tom would tell you that his greatest accomplishment is his family. Most of you all know his beautiful wife, Ann, who I'm very surprised to hear has served for over 30 years as an adjustment counselor at the Dartmouth Middle School. She was hired at the age of 9. How's that, Annie? Tom and Ann are the parents of twins who many of you know, Mike and Carlene. They finished 1-2 at Dartmouth High School in their class of 1997. I know they like me mentioning this. And they also were both of them outstanding athletes, and here's a surprise, Mike in baseball, Carlene in softball were both left-handed hitters. I wonder where that came from. I'll help. Tom was a left-handed hitter, see? That's an inside joke, but... Carlene has received a master's degree from Boston College, and she is a teacher coach at Brighton High School. And as I mentioned, Mike will obtain his medical degree from UMass Medical School next year. Kind of reminds me of Mr. Kelly, Bob Kelly, Tom's dad. A number of years ago, Tom, when he was thinking about his twins' amazing accomplishments, he said to his dad, he said, "Dad, isn't it amazing that when you come to the point in life when you realize that your kids are smarter than you are?" Mr. Kelly said, "Gee, I don't know, I haven't reached that point yet." That's a true story and a very accurate one. Tom is truly a Renaissance man. He's an athlete. He's a scholar. He's been a coach, and he absolutely has been a consummate professional educator. We've been very lucky to have him in this town. He is and always has been a tenacious competitor. He's loyal, he's humble, and he's exceptionally intelligent. And I suggest to you, Tom is the perfect example of a person who has, through his athletic career, acquired the inner toughness that the Dartmouth High School Athletic Department teaches our young men and women through athletics. Tom has manifested that inner toughness throughout his entire professional career to the tremendous benefit of the entire school system over a period of 35 years. It is indeed my pleasure and my privilege to present Dr. Thomas E. Kelly.
Where did Wally go?
Call him on the cell phone.
Yeah. Thank you, Walter. I appreciate that fine introduction. Really being recognized this evening by the Dartmouth High School Hall of Fame is a great honor for me and one that I'll forever cherish. It really is special, and this morning on the putting green at the golf course in New Bedford, my golfing pal Rick Barry put it in perspective for me when we were chatting, and he's been involved, as you heard from Tom Cadju, with the Hall of Fame since its inception, and he's a member himself, so I'm thinking Rick knows what he's talking about with regard to the Hall of Fame. And what he told me was that of all the groups inducted into the Hall of Fame, that's 12 as of tonight, his group, which also included Zach Sherman, was the best looking group that ever got inducted. Well, that's a fair observation, I thought, and Rick is a good looking man, certainly. But if you're averaging, Zach Sherman and SpongeBob SquarePants would be the best looking group in most collections of groups. He also told me he thought that tonight's group was overall the best group ever inducted. And coming from Rick, that made me feel pretty good, momentarily. Because as is typical of the penetrating candor that he so frequently displays, he quickly added, of course, you're the caboose. I am nonetheless honored to be part of this very special group, and I don't at all mind being the caboose in this group. I'd like to thank the selection committee for their recognition of my efforts, and I'd particularly like to thank Tom Cadju and Michelle Lyons for the incredible work that they have done for the Hall of Fame, and in particular for the work they did in putting this wonderful event together. I have been fortunate enough to receive some athletic-related recognition in the past, but to be honored by the Dartmouth High School Hall of Fame is really special. And I'd like to talk to you just for a couple of minutes about why this is the case. And it's simply this, that the Dartmouth High School Hall of Fame is different, as is the Dartmouth High School athletic program. It recognizes that success in athletics is more of a process than an outcome, more of a journey than a destination. And it's based on the idea that individual success is not only a product of talent, hard work, a sense of purpose, and perseverance by the athlete, but such success also needs a system of support and encouragement provided by teammates, coaches, parents, and ultimately the entire community. I'm being recognized by the Hall of Fame not because of any accomplishments I achieved in athletics. I never had the good fortune to play for Dartmouth High School, but rather because I had some role as part of the larger team that is the Dartmouth High School athletic program. As do many others who comprise this team, I believe in the critical role that athletics has in providing a balanced education for all students. And in my work for the schools, I have always believed that the opportunities provided to students through athletics are as important as those provided through any other subject in the curriculum. I know what participation in sports has meant to my life, and I see the impact that it has on the lives of many successful people that I know. I certainly appreciate Walter Smith's presentation on my behalf. I asked Walter to present me this evening, not just because he's my best friend, not because he's a man of great character or an unqualified success in his professional life, but I asked him because he is also a sterling example of a person who took the best that the athletic experience has to offer, and he made it a part of his life. He got it when he was a competitor, and he gets it today. Athletics can make a difference, sometimes the difference, in the development of a young person into a successful adult. I'm further honored in receiving a recognition given in memory and in the spirit of Dr. E. Dean Freitas, member of the Dartmouth School Committee for 35 years and an outstanding citizen of the community of Dartmouth. Doc Freitas was a personal hero of mine, and he influenced my life in many ways. Although he would have you think that he was just a plain old country boy, he was in fact a brilliant man who brought a simple philosophy to our schools. And he stated it often, that the Dartmouth school system should be just a little bit better than the schools in all of the towns around us. It was a clear and powerful vision that was realistic and achievable, and yet one that supported and required constant improvement. I dedicated my professional life to pursuing his vision, and I'm truly honored to receive this award given in his memory. I'd like to congratulate the other inductees. They represent an incredible group of candidates, even when measured by the high standards that have been established by the Hall of Fame committee. Bear Bryant once said, "You never know how a horse will pull until you hook him up to a heavy load." All of tonight's inductees have passed that test with flying colors. And I think it's a unique group because, taken as a whole, they present a microcosm of what the Hall of Fame is all about. I never had a chance to see John Montero play, but he was a truly gifted athlete who clearly learned the important lessons of teamwork and self-sacrifice. He committed his life to serving our community as a police officer and performed his duty with honor. He is greatly missed by everyone who knew him and as a role model for the youth of Dartmouth. Carlin Lynch has been the heart and soul of the athletic program in Dartmouth since he began working here in 1968. In my opinion, he's been the single most influential individual in the Dartmouth schools during that time. From the beginning, the foundation of the program he created has been built on respect, trust, loyalty, and strong family values, because those are the things he believes in. Over the years, he's taught radically changing generations of students some enduring lessons about the importance of leadership, respect for others, and the value of commitment. Lessons that translate powerfully into building a successful life. Jess Gasper is without question the finest female basketball player in the history of Dartmouth High School, and clearly one of the best athletes ever to attend the school. My daughter Carlene played on the basketball team just as senior year when they became the last female team to play on the parquet floor at the old Boston Garden. It was in the Eastern Mass Finals. Jess was unbelievable, especially during the playoffs. However, the image that I remember most vividly was not her incredible heroics on the court, but watching her play with such pain that during the playoffs she was flat on her back in the locker room needing treatment from Dr. Rand Torman in order to be able to continue to play. She was and is one of the most mentally tough people I have ever known, and she carries that quality forward in her life today. Brian Rose was a phenom at Dartmouth High School. Signed as a high school draft choice by the Red Sox, pitched his way to the major leagues ahead of schedule, and as Tom said, he beat the Yankees 2 times in a week early in his career. But my lasting impression of Brian Rose as a high school athlete was at the end of his senior year when he pitched in a loss to New Bedford. The manner in which he dealt with that disappointment provided an exceptional example to all of us about how to deal with the inevitable setbacks in life. He continues to meet life's challenges headlong, and for all of us represents the best of the best. Bob Long is a snapshot at a later age of the character and values that Carlin Lynch infused into the athletic program, and that Jess and Brian are clearly demonstrating in their young lives. I was fortunate enough to be a coach during part of the time Bob played in Dartmouth, and in all of my athletic experience as Carlin's, I have never been around a tougher individual. As a high school athlete, he was driven to achieve, and within the context of the program we have here, he was guided to make the right choices early in life. He's living proof of the belief we hold that support for strong values and a clear focus in school is a great formula for success later in life. These people are not who they are because of athletics, but their experience in athletics has clearly been an integral part of the formation of their character. For within the context of the range of things we do in our day-to-day lives, the capacity of athletics to teach us how to deal effectively with the realities of both success and failure is unmatched. And I believe that any athlete who has achieved a measure of success beyond sports will attest to the fact that it is through dealing successfully with the losses, the frustrations, the injuries, and the disappointments that they have benefited most in the long run in their lives. So, athletics is more than just extracurricular activity, and I commend the Dartmouth High School Hall of Fame for recognizing the real importance of athletics in our education and in our lives, and I'm honored to be recognized by them for my part in helping to support the wonderful tradition that is Dartmouth High School athletics. Thank you.
Our final inductee tonight is Mr. Colin Lynch, and he will be presented by 2 people, Mr. Richard Barry and Mr. Donald Doyen.
I just tripped. I'd like to congratulate all the inductees this evening. Many of them I've seen go through the school system. I'm kind of very fortunate and honored to have been asked to introduce Mr. Lynch, and Mr. Barry will follow, and he will also introduce Mr. Lynch. Most of us know this true gentleman as Mr. Lynch. Sometimes we call him Colin, but most of us call him Mr. Lynch. My hope this evening in the short presentation is the proper selection of words to do this man justice. I have known Mr. Lynch and his family since 1968, and my comments are based on my 35 years association with this man. Obviously, his accomplishments as a coach, AD, and teacher cannot be disputed. But it is the other aspect of his life that stands out. His ability to influence young people to aspire to greater things in life. Some of this through the game of football. His efforts of dedication have always been to encourage all youth of Dartmouth to achieve goals they never thought possible. It isn't very often that a man with such great values, ability, and charisma necessary to instill these values in young people comes along. When he first arrived in Dartmouth, a few of his capabilities, many did not know him. But for the students and the football candidates, they realized very early of his sincerity and that he was a genuine man who cared for all of them. Many of these he has coached have aspired to follow in his footsteps. Mr. Lynch is a wonderful human being who has dedicated 35 plus years of his life to the youth of Dartmouth. The town of Dartmouth has been very lucky to have him, and I have been blessed with a great mentor and a friend over the years. I thank him for all he's done for me and my family. I enjoyed all my 25 years as one of his coaches. We all welcome Mr. Lynch into the Dartmouth Hall of Fame. Thank you.
Thank you, Donald. I'm just trying to figure out with Dr. Kelly's all those degrees, how come when I'm out playing golf you have me keep score? That might be an IQ test that I'm losing. Most of us have only known Colin Lynch during his 35 plus years at Dartmouth High School as coach, counselor, and administrator. A few of you have known him as their coach at Holy Cross, Bishop Stang, or Somerset High School. Only a handful of you, blessed with longevity, knew him as a teammate at Coyle, minus a Cassidy, or the College of the Holy Cross. All of us fortunate enough to have known Colin in one or more of these areas realize the profound effect he has had on all of us. As we pursue various careers after high school or college, hopefully in an area that will both utilize our skills and make us want to get up for work each day, Colin's career choice of teaching and coaching seemed predestined. As we trace his growing up and the people who were major influence in his life, we realize that teaching and coaching was more of a calling. Early on as a young boy in Somerset, specifically the village, sports was an important part of his life. His two older brothers, Jim and John, were both good athletes. As a younger brother, Colin wanted to emulate their enthusiasm and success in sports. Raised in an Irish Catholic home, Coyle was a logical choice for Colin to attend high school. His first organized coach there was a Mr. Jim Burns, who coached 3 sports for 30 plus years at Coyle. Sort of sounds familiar with Colin at Dartmouth. Mr. Burns coached for repetition and physical contact, where one-on-one blocking and tackling and full team scrimmages was a part of every practice. Under Mr. Burns' tutelage, Colin saw what sports did for him. It gave him a sense of confidence, an outlet for physical aggression, and the feeling of belonging to a team, where being accepted is about how you perform your role and how you treat others. After a successful high school career in 3 sports, Colin matriculated to Holy Cross, the College of the Holy Cross, where his coach there was a Dr. Eddie Anderson. And Dr. Eddie Anderson was Newt Rockney's first captain at Notre Dame. That was when Holy Cross played the big boys. They played Syracuse's, they played the BC's. Right now they're scheduling St. Anselm's and losing, so it's a little bit different as it was then. Dr. Anderson's coaching style was similar to Mr. Burns, but with a greater intensity. You were pushed to your both physical and mental limits. During many of the bus rides that Colin and I and Don and the other coaches would take, sometimes Colin would entertain us with some of the experiences he had at Holy Cross. And I remember one vividly, talking about Dr. Anderson and the practices he had, and like I said, they were very physical. Well, during one of those contacts, collisions with another player, all of a sudden Colin's eye opened up. So Dr. Anderson came over and looked at him. Now mind you, Dr. Anderson is a medical doctor. And with a great deal of compassion, he looked at Colin and said, "It'd take two of those for me not to play." I got a feeling Colin already knew, but toughness was about inner toughness. And if there's anything Colin taught that. It wasn't about bravado. Coach Burns and Coach Anderson were instrumental in shaping a coaching philosophy and a coaching style that Colin would incorporate into his one day. Colin has had other coaches, professors, teammates, and friends who have helped shape his philosophy. But he has only one teacher in his life, and that teacher was his mom, alias Gertie. Colin's strength of character, belief in discipline, sense of family, and his faith was her gift to him. I'm sure there were times when Colin rebelled, probably many, but her example was a foundation for his core beliefs, and were intertwined in how he thought, how he acted, how he treated others, and how he coached. Over the years, Colin has had many assistant coaches and only one associate head coach, the name Francis Sylvester Lynch. Francis liked to be in the background raising 6 wonderful children who are here tonight with us, but was always in the forefront in Colin's life. Francis was Colin's buffer, whose opinion he valued unquestionably. These are the people who raised and mentored Colin Lynch. Now I'd like to talk about the man who influenced so many of us and why we are here tonight to celebrate his induction into the Dartmouth High School Athletic Hall of Fame. Coaching was his calling. His passion for football was more than a game. Football was a medium to give to others what he was taught. People outside of football and other coaches would ask, what's his secret? What does he do that makes him so successful? It was a question you really couldn't ask with a brief reply. Colin is a complicated man with a simple philosophy. As great as he was with the X's and O's, the essence of his success was the 15-minute meetings prior to practice, as Bobby Long talked about a little bit. Colin knew how to get into each player's head and heart. He would relate football to lifelong lessons. When you played for Colin, you took your ego and the word I and left him at home. His practices, like his former coaches, were about repetition, preparation, and teaching. Colin wasn't a yeller, but he was a tone setter. There was that physical presence about him, that stare, gotta be careful with the finger, that crooked finger to the chest. You sort of knew what Colin wanted, and by golly, you gave it to him. Because he cared for you so much, players never wanted to let him down. Like a great teacher, he got players to excel beyond what they thought possible. His genius was he treated everyone the same, but differently. The better the player, the harder he coached them. The younger and less skilled players he encouraged and nurtured along. He never demeaned or questioned a person's contact courage. Instead, he would coach them up and put them in positions to succeed. He made being on the red team, for those people who don't know, the red team is a team that scrimmages against the varsity. He made that a badge of distinction. His credo was the only time you fail is when you don't get up. The press once asked him, after one of his many successful seasons, is this the best team you've ever coached? Colin's reply, ask me in 10 years when we see what type of people they have become. Colin is a big-time coach that never big-timed anyone. Early in his career at Dartmouth, after a tough loss, he gathered the team around him. He said, if anyone asks you why we lost, tell them it was my fault. He genuinely believed that somehow he hadn't prepared them correctly because they did everything he asked. I knew then this was a special coach, and the players did too. Lastly, there is a quote from the book The Little Prince that defines who Colin is. The fox tells the prince, you're responsible forever for what you tame. Those who have played for Colin, coached with, or whether family or friends, know that loyalty is the fabric of the man. In times of strife, Colin was always there for you, bringing people into his house to live or visiting a former player in prison. There were no bounds for his loyalty. What type of friend is he? He's a friend behind your back. I know I speak for many when I say how fortunate we are to have Colin Lynch's influence in our lives. At this time, Don and I, along with everyone here, would like to present Colin Lynch into the Dartmouth High School Athletic Hall of Fame.
Congratulations. I recognize you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'll tell you, my mother be proud tonight. You know that. Some of the things that Bobby said, you kind of spoiled Bobby because I want to say some of those things because the biggest influence in my life has been women. My wife, my mother, my daughters, my aunts. And I firmly believe that toughness is something that is not outside you. Toughness is on the inside of you, and that's why I love the game of football. It's an inner toughness game. And I believe that with my heart and soul. But it is very, very difficult to get up here and talk, and Don and Ricky and Tommy Kelly, because a lot of that stuff is I learned a long, long time ago. And I'll kind of tell you a little story. My wife and I would she knows the story better than anybody, but my first year of marriage, we were out in Pueblo, Colorado. Nobody in this joint knows where that is. Pueblo, Colorado is a steel town in southern Colorado where two of our children were born, Jimmy and Carlene. And we coached a lot of young Mexican-American kids, a lot of Spanish kids, and kids from the reservation and things like that. And what Rick said and Don and Tommy said and Bobby kind of reminds me of that. One day I was asked by the priest in charge of the school to go down and talk to the reservation people about sportsmanship of the game, and they were talking, you know, my other daughter, Ann, by the way, worked in a Pueblo down in Taos, New Mexico also. So the kids there like sports, and I get down there and telling them all about football and what it really means and the game itself and how wonderful these Native American people are, and they're the backbone of our country, and they're going to save the world. And they kept yelling the word Ungawa, Ungawa. And I said, oh, these guys are really going for what I'm telling them. So I kept talking and talking and talking. And so I spoke for about 30 minutes, and as I was leaving, the chief came over to me, and he said to me, gee, he said, that was nice. He said, but let's go. I said, by the way, be careful where you're walking over there. You know, the bullpens, there's a lot of Ungawa over there. So, thanks for all the Ungawa, you know what I mean? Any success I've had as a coach is a direct result of so many different people, it's impossible to talk about them. But I am going to mention the people who are the most important people in my coaching life were my assistant coaches. First of all, Don and Rick stood with me for 25 years. To be with someone like me for 25 years, only one other person can do that, and that's the lady sitting there, let me tell you. But anyway, Don and Ricky were just unbelievable. The passion they had for coaching, the passion for teaching, they were outstanding. And the other two fellows who started with me were Tommy Kelly, who felt he'd take the easy life and become a superintendent, and Don King become a principal. So those were the other two fellows. But the other people in my life who were very instrumental in becoming my friends were my assistant coaches. I owe everything to them. First and foremost, I really can tell more stories about these people. I saw them all get married. I saw them have babies. I saw the good times and the bad times. But Paul Espinola became one of my coaches, the director of guidance at the high school. Paul, with his wit and wisdom, such a mentor to me. Billy Kavanaugh is on to great success at UMass Dartmouth. I owe him so much. He's a great coach. Tommy Cadju, one of my former players, who was an outstanding person, a direct guy. You always knew where Cad stands, you know what I mean? You always know where they stand. Tommy McDermott, who is now the athletic director and a great friend, a great mentor to me also. Jimmy Murphy, who's been with me since I was 24 years of age, who is one of my dear friends and person I trust in my life. The new head coach at Dartmouth High School, Rick White is, and this is the thing that really grabs me. People criticize the athletics. They criticize them, oh, this and that. Brian Rose, National Honor Society. Brian Rose. Rick White, National Honor Society. Jessica Gasper, National Honor Society. These are the things that are very important to me as a coach. And Rick White is now the outstanding head coach at Dartmouth High School. I'm so proud of him, what he did this year. Carlos Oliveira, who really is a dear friend and a great coach and did a lot of things for me. Mike Martin, who is one of the greatest defensive line coaches. I've been around coaches all my life. Michael Martin's a great coach, and he'll do well. David Mora, who's now at Dighton Rehoboth High School, and the principal at Dighton Rehoboth High School said to me the other day, you got any more like Mora, send them up. So we know that David Mora is doing well up there. Chris Oliver, who coached me the last couple of years, and Billy Ventura, Wario. The only reason I hired Billy, went to Coyle, and it's Coyle Cassidy. But really, I hope I didn't forget them, but out of that coaching staff of 15, 13 have their master's degree. 4 were picked to be high school graduation speakers. So I'm really proud of them as teacher coaches. And that's what this game is all about. You have to be a teacher coach. You're not just a coach. And Dr. Russell and I were talking about this the other day. We're in a danger of losing people who are teacher coaches. It's very important to realize that at Dartmouth High School right now, 95% of the people, women and men who are coaching are teachers. That's extremely important because I love football. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I love the game, and it meant everything to me. As an 8th grader going into Coyle High School, I was a very nervous, shy boy. And I went out for football. I always think of Mike Tavares, the boy that played and was in the Hall of Fame. When his dad said to him, how'd you like practice? I'm thinking I want to like this game. My mother, when I went home that day, she says, well, how did football practice go? Mom, I'm going to love this game. And this game gave me confidence. But it also taught me so many other things. And I wanted to teach, and the coaches we had here at Dartmouth, we tried to teach 3 things to our kids every day in football. And I believe if you don't have this, you're not going to be a success in life. And I've had people come back from medical school, people who had a corporation say, football taught me to get through medical school. Football taught me to be every day a better person as the manager of 25, 30, 50 people. You got to have 3 things to be a football player. And I hope it's 3 things you have to be a person in life. First and foremost, you have to have mental courage. You got to be able to know what you're doing on the football field. It's very, very complicated. I know they made fun of me tonight, and Tom Burke always makes fun of me. But it isn't triple option right and triple option left. If I got Mark Cadero up here right now and had him go through something, you would never be able to know what he was doing. And we threw a pass at least 60 times a game, some Cadero to keep the ball a lot. But when we pitched it, that was a pass. So anyways, that's why everybody know that. That was a pass. That was a pass. But you have to have mental courage. You have to have it when the going gets rough. You have to have it when the 1-yard line, when it's 4th and 1 and things aren't going your way. You have to be able to focus and think properly. Obviously, you have to have moral courage. You have to be loyal to your teammates, loyal to your coaches, your school. That's what it's all about. And thirdly, you have to have physical courage. And I really feel very bad for the women in this audience, who I love them dearly, especially the girls next to me here, because you can't play football. Football is a special, special game, and you have to have physical courage. And you acquire it. The guys who are the guys with the bravado and the horse manure, they don't have physical courage. I've seen young men who weigh 142 pounds, 128 pounds, be linebackers and guards, and have great courage. When the last minute of the game we have to do something, they have physical courage. Anybody can have physical courage, only the biggest guy in the block. That's what high school football teaches. We're talking about high school football. And I believe that if you don't have mental, moral, and physical courage, you can't really be a very good football player. And you can't be a very good athlete. And these coaches that I've mentioned here tonight all taught that. They were great teachers. I'm going to end up in this a long night. I was taught by a great teacher at Holy Cross, a rhetoric teacher. His name was Mr. McCann. Mr. McCann told me the 3 ups of public speaking. Stand up, speak up, and shut up, and I'll do that in 30 seconds. This is a great quote by a very, very dear friend of mine, Billy Ty, who's the head coach at Lexington High School. He's 77 years old. He lost 2 children to cystic fibrosis. His wife's been sick in bed for 25 years. He takes care of her every day. He's one of my heroes. One of my heroes. And he said this, and I have copied it from him. Football, in its rightful place, is one of the most wholesome, exciting, and valuable activities in which youth can possibly participate. I love football because it is the only sport I know that teaches young men to have complete control of themselves, to gain self-respect, and give forth a tremendous effort. At the same time, they learn to observe the rules of the game, regard the rights of others, and stay within the boundaries dictated by decency and sportsmanship. I want to thank the committee for honoring me, and more importantly, the lady I married. This is the lady that does it all. My wife who took all the coaches into our houses, all the many, many times. I owe everything in my life to that lady.
You can see how easy it would be to be successful with Dr. Thomas Kelly and Mr. Colin Lynch as your mentors. And every minute I was with them through my 39 years in education, I learned something from them every minute. And for that, I thank them very much. They say the greatest thing that a person can give someone else would be positive memories. And our inductees here tonight have left us all with many positive memories. I congratulate them all, and I wish you a safe journey home. Thank you.